maybe we should, before I do that, maybe we should go around, do introductions.
That sounds good.
Okay. Let's see here. All right, why don't I, let's see. Why don't we, I'll just call people out. I know it's Zoom introductions. People don't necessarily know exactly where everybody is in relation to everybody else. So why don't I call everybody out? Casey.
Hi all, my name is Casey Harrigan and I am the Director of Member Services at APSA. So I've been in communication with most of you as we've made this transition into the APSA database for the related groups.
Okay, Ashley.
I am Ashley Vandementi. I'm the Director of Meetings at APSA. I will be working with you, if I haven't already in the past, on your panel construction and using the submission system and things like that.
So Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Boris from the Institute Fellow at the Urban Institute, and I'm co-chair of the Civil Society Power and Policy related group.
Okay, thank you. Janet.
Hi, I'm Janet Label, and I'm the Director of the British Politics Group.
Okay. Michael.
I am Michael Gusmano, and I direct the Aging Politics and Policy Group.
Okay, thank you. Michael Strauss.
Yeah, I'm Michael Strauss from Texas Christian University and the Japan Political Studies Group.
Okay. Natasha.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natasha Bell, and I am the section chair for the Interpretive Methods and Methodologies related group.
Okay. Kristen Kessler.
I'm Kristen. I'm the meetings manager, and I work with Ashley on the annual meeting. So you'll hear from me for some things on the submission system as well.
Okay. Megan.
I am Megan McConaughey. I am the director of the Congressional Fellowship Program at APSA and also work on some governance stuff with Steve. So I've been working on panel allocation and other related group things.
Okay. Kristen Hamann.
Hey, I'm Kirsten. I'm at the University of Central Florida and I'm the co-chair of the Iberian Politics related group.
Helma.
Hello, I'm Helma DeVries Jordan. I'm at the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford, and I'm the chair of the LGBT caucus.
Okay, Spencer.
Hi, I'm Spencer. I am the assistant director at the faculty division at the Federalist Society.
Okay, thank you. Zane.
My name is Zane Mirab. I'm at Fordham University, and I am the program chair for the LGBTQ caucus.
Okay, thank you. James.
Yes, hello, I'm Jim Muller up in Alaska. I'm the organizer for the International Churchill Society.
Okay, thank you. Mary.
Hi everyone, I'm Mary Stegmeyer. I'm at the University of Missouri and I am chair of the political forecasting group.
Okay, Kent.
I'm Kent Weaver from Georgetown University, and I'm chair of the Committee on Viable Constitutional Democracy Group.
Let's see, Carol.
Carlos Sultan, University of Maryland, College Park, co-chair of the Civic Studies Group.
Okay, thank you. Martin Bull.
Hello, I'm Martin Bull from the University of Salford in Manchester in the United Kingdom, and I'm currently president of the conference group on Italian politics and society.
Okay. Marta.
I am Marta Wojciechowska from King's College London, and I'm from Critical Policy Studies.
Okay. Adana.
Hi, my name is Zidane Bove, and I'm at Duke University in visiting fellow at Harvard. And I'm the chair of the Democratic Innovations Group.
Okay. Fred Schaefer.
Hi, everybody. My name is Fred Schaefer. I'm chair of the Interpretive Methodologies and Methods Group.
Okay. And then there's somebody who I don't exactly know your name. Hested GP is your tagline.
Glenn Hosted. I'm at James Madison University, and I organize the Intelligence Studies Group panel.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Bruce Larson. Nope, you're muted.
You knew there was going to be one person who did that. Hi, I'm Bruce Larson from Gettysburg College. I'm the co-chair of the Campaign Finance Research Group with Robin Kalabdi and Diana Dwyer.
Okay. And Jason.
Hi, everyone. Jason Ania, Sam Houston State University. I'm with the Disasters and Crises Group.
Okay. Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm the program assistant for both the Congressional Fellowship program and the international programs here at APSA. Sorry?
You froze there for a minute.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura, and I'm the program assistant for both the Congressional Fellowship program and the international programs at APSA.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. Joseph Prudhomme?
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. Sorry. Joseph Prudhomme at Washington College. I'm the program chair of the Walter Badger Research Council on National Sovereignty and Public Affairs.
Okay. Dennis Wang?
Hello, everyone. I'm Dennis Wang. I'm at Sam Houston State University. I'm the chair of Conference Group of Taiwan Study.
Okay. Zaquan?
Hi, I'm Zhichen Zhu of Bucknell University. I'm co-chair for the Global Forum of Chinese Political Scientists.
Okay, thank you. Marcella?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my name is Marcela Garcia Castañón. I'm at San Francisco State University. I'm president / chair of the Latino Caucus.
Okay, thank you. Matt Hibbing?
Yeah, I'm Matt Hibbing. I'm at UC Merced, and I am on the Council for Politics and the Life Sciences.
Okay. Dina?
Hello, I'm Dina Bashara, and I am the co-chair of the APSA Libre Politics Group, along with Isabel Pereira. We're both at Cornell University.
Okay. And Mark Lutz? No? Mark? Okay. And then I think the only other person, I have a phone number here, but no name. All right. Mark?
Yes, do you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, yeah, I'm Mark Lutz at the UNLV, and I'm organizing panels for the Society for Greek Political Thought.
Okay, great. Did I miss anybody? Okay. All right. So I have some slides. This presentation is designed to really be an interactive presentation where it gives you an opportunity to ask questions. The focus will be on the going forward and thinking about planning for the annual meeting. But we also recognize that related groups are in a transition period given the new policies and regulations approved by the APSA Council last year. And so, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about this kind of transition period that we're in as well. So, we've already gone through the key APSA staff, but Ashley, Kristen, Casey are are on this call. Dan Gibson is the communications director, and then Brennan Dames is also works in member services. So, so the related group membership, currently we have 43 different related groups. Related group memberships have been going up substantially. Currently 920 total related group memberships as of this week, 448 APSA members, 79% regular members, and 22% student members. As you know from the new rules, all related groups are required during this transition period by next year to have 35 APSA members. And so Casey is a kind of point person for APSA in helping related groups transition to 35 members if they're not there already, and is happy to answer any questions that you have. Casey, do you want to say anything more about that?
Just in some of the next slides, you'll see some of the communications that we've done, and we'll continue to promote all the related groups. We don't want to see any of the groups fall below 35, so we are here to support you in reaching 35 or more, hopefully, members to maintain your related group status.
And so before, I'll go to the next slide, but does anybody have questions? I mean, this is intended to be interactive, so I'm happy to answer questions along the way of this presentation.
I have a question. Is there going to be an annual census date? And also, will a group, if they miss the membership target for a year, be given a year time to make up the membership?
Okay. So, Casey, do you want to address those questions? I can jump in too, but do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So we will be pulling, we have already started, and moving forward, we pull the related group membership, just like we pull our APSA memberships and organized section memberships based on the last day of the month. APSA memberships expire at the end of the month, so that is the most accurate count for that month. And then on the start of the new month, if any members expired, they would no longer be counted. So we keep that in reports on our end on a monthly basis, and we're happy to share your group's growth over time if you're interested in that. All chairs now have access to download and monitor their own related group rosters once you're logged into your APSA account. I sent around an email yesterday with that information, but if you did not get it, please send me an email and I will make sure that you're connected in our database to monitor that information. As far as, oh, sorry. Did somebody I just wanted to kind of build on this question about when you count the memberships. So we just created our group. And so I think our only members so far are the people who are involved with creating it. So does that mean we have until the end of this month before we lose our status? No. So once you join a related group, that will stay on your account until your membership expires. So as long as your membership is active, if you're a member this month, you'll also be a member next month. So we expect to see membership grow each month. All related groups have until July 2021 to reach that 35 member threshold before we reevaluate their status as a related group. So you won't lose necessarily like your status. If members do expire throughout that time, they would no longer be included on your member rosters, however. Did that answer your question? Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that? This is Marcella.
Sure.
Our membership goes up and down because people register. So if we're right at the cusp of 35 and then July 3rd, 2021 hits and we're at 30, but are you taking the average or are you looking at just like what hits at July 2021?
I guess my initial answer would be that we'd be very flexible. I mean, we've done the same things in terms of section membership and have been flexible in those kinds of circumstances. So we recognize that membership fluctuates, and so I think we'd be flexible on those in that situation. Casey, do you want to add anything else?
So to add on that, I'll say with organized sections, they do need to keep a 200 member threshold. If they fall below that threshold for a continuous amount of time is when we will have a conversation about whether it's best for them to remain an organized section or not. And we plan on doing the same with related groups. The second you fall below 35, we won't delete you from the database and remove you from the website. We plan on having conversations and monitoring it and making sure that you do have an upward trajectory and you're not necessarily decreasing every month. We do plan on, we're not just going to drop you if you fall below 35 immediately.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Could I just confirm that is it APSA membership renewals are all throughout the year, depending on when the person joined? Is that how APSA membership works? Because presumably that explains volatility throughout the year. And then the other factor is that obviously some people may join APSA only when they're going to APSA in any given year. So it's going to be quite a volatile scenario, one assumes.
You're correct, Martin, that you can join APSA at any time during the year, and it's on essentially on a monthly basis, so that if you join in September, your membership would be good till the following end of September. And so it's not on a 365-day cycle, but it's on essentially a 12-month cycle. So people can join throughout the year. So you're right, it does fluctuate. Definitely fluctuates.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
We're in the Committee on Viable Constitutional Democracy, we're going to be trying to get people to join, but my understanding is they can only join the section or join the related group when they're renewing their membership. So we can say now, could you please join? But they will then have to remember next April when they're renewing their membership to do it. They can't do it on the APSA website now. Is that correct?
So APSA members can go in at any time and renew and join a related group. It's actually on a separate form from the APSA regular membership form. There's a link on the related group page as well as on the user home profile. And I could circulate those links around, but with an active APSA membership, the website will recognize your membership and allow you to then join the related group.
Yeah. Do you actually mind circulating that? Because I was trying to find it. It's actually kind of hard. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be really great. Because it'll be great when we're contacting people to say, and this is how you do it.
Right.
Stephen, I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
Have you or has the council, following the rather successful shotgun transition to virtual meeting this year, thought about the possibility of allowing some kind of an extension in the time frame that they originally thought of? Because many panels, I think, were much smaller than usual this year. And the usual socializing that happened around the APSA was considerably reduced for that reason. And therefore, I suspect, though I don't know, that many related groups like ours are just beginning to face this new requirement and figure out how to deal with it without having had the benefit of talking to all their members as they ran into them at the APSA meeting. And that wasn't something that the council presumably was anticipating when they made the rule and settled on the timing for it.
That I think you're certainly correct in that. And the council hasn't discussed that particular issue per se yet. I think we're still evaluating the virtual meeting, but certainly that would be something that we could bring up to the council. We also have a council policy committee that prepared the new rules on the related groups, and this would be something that they would be taken up by that policy committee on the council. And I certainly understand what what you're saying, and I can certainly understand how it might take longer for the related groups to reach 35 if they haven't had the benefit of meeting in person. So, but again, Casey is a kind of point person for us in trying to help you get there. And so to the extent that we can help with messaging or other kinds of communication, I think that that's what, Casey's available to do that, as well as other members of our staff. So, but you do certainly raise a good point, and we'll certainly keep that in mind as we move forward during the year, and in terms of the counts and in particular in individual related groups and whether or not they're getting to the 35 threshold.
Steve, this is Elizabeth. I would add, I was going to ask something similar. It would seem like at least this year, and maybe even going forward, that we should be able to make our quotas the month at the end of September, when we have the biggest chance of getting people in, rather than July, when it's sort of not on people's calendars.
That's a good point. Oh, that's a good point.
Make it a little easier on us.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. And a lot of people don't even renew their APSA subscriptions until right before the conference too. So it might make more sense to have it closer.
No, I think that's a good suggestion. Casey, we can talk about that, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question about the previous slide?
Sure. If I can, let's see if I can, hold on. Let me see if I can, that slide?
Yes. So I was curious about the 921 total related group memberships, because I know for our group, I don't believe APSA keeps any records. So I don't know what that total memberships, what that number represents and how you came to that number.
Casey, you want to speak to that?
Sure. So currently we have over 400 APSA members that have joined related groups. Based on that number, some have joined more than one. So cumulatively, there are the 921 related group memberships. We are currently now tracking memberships for each of the related groups. As a related group chair, you can download your roster, and we can also download it for you and let you know where you are at in that membership and who has joined your related group.
I get it. I misunderstood what that was representing. I understand now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions at this point? Okay. Communications. Information about each related group can be found at that link. We've been communicating about the new policies through a variety of communications for quite some time now. And as Casey mentioned, you have access to download your group roster. Also, two things that I guess you would say are relatively new. With these new policies, APSA provides the option for related groups to create a microsite on the APSA website. Many sections now have a microsite for their section on the APSA website. And so, so this would allow you to post expanded information. You could if you have a microsite that's hosted elsewhere, you could migrate it to the APSA website. And again, that was a process that many sections went through starting in like 2015, and since 2015, many sections that had a site elsewhere have migrated it to APSA. So, so that's an option now for related groups. There are a few related groups that have already taken advantage of this, and so we can do that. I think the way that you would proceed if you wanted to do that would be to contact Casey, and then she can put you in touch with our communications team that would help you create the microsite. Relatedly, you would also have potential access to APSA Connect groups. So many of you are no doubt members of a section and realize that there's an APSA Connect community that you're part of. Is that because you're a member of that section, you can now create an APSA Connect community for your related group. And again, contact Casey, and if you're interested in setting up an APSA Connect community. So questions about that?
I was wondering about the microsites. Are these things that we can edit?
Casey, do you want to, I mean, I can talk about it, but Casey is more familiar with the details about it. Casey?
Yes. So our communications team will assist you in setting up the initial site. You'll provide them with the content that you would like included, as well as if there's any formatting or photos that you would like used on the site. And then you will receive admin privileges and be able to update the content as it changes over time.
Any other questions about the microsite or APSA Connect communities? Okay. On to the annual meeting. These are the details of the annual meeting scheduled for Seattle, September 30th through October 3rd of next year. You can see that the theme of next year's meeting is promoting pluralism. And here are the key dates. The call for proposals opens soon. Call for proposals closes on January 14th. Then there's a proposal review, panel construction, and notification in mid-March. One of the changes with the new policy is that related group panel allocations are now consistent with what we do for sections. So essentially, the sections for a long time, their panel allocation has been based upon a 80% on attendance at panels and 20% on submissions. Until this year, related group panel allocations were based on just attendance and not submissions. And so now the amount of submissions that you get will factor into how many panels you're allocated at the annual meeting. And so these, again, panel attendance is adjusted for time and date. And we, for next year, are going to be using attendance figures for 2019, so that we realize that we can't use attendance figures for this year's virtual meeting, although we do have very detailed information on who participated in the many, in the panels that we had for our virtual meeting that we're going to be analyzing. But we recognize that this is an unusual circumstance, and so we're using attendance data from 2019's meeting in DC. And then we will use submission data. That means submission data for the 2021 conference. So the submissions that you get that you need to have by January 14th, the number of submissions that you have for your related group will then factor into how many panels you get. Questions? I think that I think that the one reason for the change is that the council wanted to encourage more submissions and have that be also, and also have the allocation formula for related groups consistent with what sections have. Any questions about this?
Hey, what if our group didn't exist in 2019?
That's a good question. Megan, any
We're still
thoughts on that?
working out exactly how this is going to work. I will say that in general, I would expect all related groups are guaranteed at least one panel, and that's what most related groups get. So I don't expect this to make a big difference regardless. I think probably what we'll do, and we haven't had an extensive conversation about this, is take a look at the attendance data from the virtual conference for those groups that didn't exist and sort of see if it's much greater than the norm, and consider making adjustments based on that if necessary. But otherwise, the assumption will be you'll get one panel, which is the same as what you got this year.
Cool, thank you.
I have two questions. One is that for us, it's very hard to get submissions because people are aware we only are allocated one panel a year. So they are strategic in where they apply. So we don't get a lot of submissions. I was wondering if there might be a way of grandfathering people into this so that you could, you know, I don't know. When you're only allocated one a year, it's hard to get a lot of submissions. So it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the other thing that I was wondering about is, you know, whether or not attendance, there's a way that we can also report attendance, because we found that sometimes our attendance numbers are not accurate.
Let's see here. So attendance numbers, the reported attendance numbers, we get reported attendance numbers for all panels. And then we, Megan and I do an analysis of attendance and control for time and date, so that the attendance figures that figure into the formula are what your expected attendance would be based upon the date and time. So it's not raw attendance figures, it's the expected attendance. And then whether you're above or below expected attendance factors into your allocation. Megan, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, so essentially the numbers that you see aren't necessarily going to be exactly the same as the numbers that you saw in the room, because we know that a 4 p.m. Friday panel is expected to get a lot more people than a 10 a.m. Sunday panel, and so we want to adjust for that. So if you have concerns about the numbers that were reported to us, you can always feel free to reach out about that, but that's one reason why there might be a discrepancy with what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of the one panel and the influence on the number of submissions, one thing to note is that that portion is going to be among related groups, most of which get one panel. So basically we'll be comparing submissions among related groups that are mostly all in the same boat. So it's only 20% of the allocation, and it should be more or less compared to groups that are very similar to you. So I don't expect that to make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question? It's Elizabeth. What if you co-sponsor panels? How does that count?
So that fully counts into your average attendance. So if you co-sponsor a panel that has very high attendance, and that gets averaged into your panel attendance for the panel that you directly sponsored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Stephen, would this be the right time to ask about the timing for submitting the call? This summer we were asked to submit the call, and I'm afraid I didn't actually get it in until this morning, and I apologize for doing it late, but it strikes me that to ask us to submit the call for next year's annual meeting before this one even occurs, though it may for some reason be convenient for your staff, really isn't a good idea, because so much of the discussion at the annual meeting among the related groups has to do with plans for next year's panels and what we'd like to focus on and ideas we get from talking to people, that it really seems kind of a bad idea to ask us to submit the call so much earlier than the meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So I think, you know, practice for in terms of the section calls has been that the way this is constructed is that the program co-chairs for the 2021 meeting, for example, this year is a good example of how it has generally worked. They create the theme and the theme statement in the spring. So by June 1st, they have a theme statement that is then sent to the section program chairs for the section program chairs to create their own call. And so they then return their call to us in the early part of the summer. And then that is also then put in the online, well, now online program, but when we meet in person, we have a program book. It's put in the program book so everybody who attends the annual meeting can see the call for the next annual meeting. So that's the way the schedule has worked, and it's been partly generated by the fact that we want to make sure that the call for the next year's meeting is in the annual program and people have a chance to see it who attend the annual meeting. So, so that's been the schedule. And so with the related group panel and the changes in the panel allocation and the changes in the allocation formula, we're just trying to make the call for the related group panels consistent with the way that we've done it with the sections. I do understand the situation, the unusual circumstances that we've all been in this year, and so you know, I certainly think I want to be flexible. So Ashley, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the other thing with the timeline is we try to open this within a couple of weeks of the annual meeting, and to collect calls in that short amount of time would be challenging. That's not to say you can't still make edits. We're putting up calls still as of right now, and if you want to make an edit even in say November, you can. There's certainly options to do that.
No, you've always been very helpful on that. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Oh, sorry. I didn't understand an answer. The answer was given previously about the co-sponsored panels. We've put a huge effort into co-sponsoring panels and advertising them to draw up attendance. Does that not in any way benefit our allocations?
If those co-sponsored panels are highly attended, then it absolutely does. So it gets averaged in, it doesn't get added. So if you actually co-sponsor panels that get lower than average attendance, that reduces your average attendance number. But if you're co-sponsoring panels that are well advertised and well attended, then it absolutely does increase your average attendance number.
Okay, thank you.
I have a related question about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. I'm wondering if our related group has also put a lot of effort into co-sponsoring panels, especially for this, for just this year's meeting. And I'm wondering if there's any way to compare attendance between this year and last year, and if a related group has had like a substantial, you know, increase in attendance, if it would be considered, if the attendance rates from 2020 from the virtual meeting would be considered instead of 2019.
I think Megan alluded to this, but we really haven't discussed that question. But I think we're certainly open to looking at the data that we're going to get from the virtual meeting and discussing that particular question. Megan, anything else you want to add to that? No.
I think that's right. We haven't really looked at the data for this year's meeting yet. So we would have to get into that a little bit more. But if you had much higher attendance than other groups did, then that's something we would certainly talk about taking into account.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask questions?
Sure.
Yes, it's regarding the submission and also attendance. For submission, how do you count the first priority and the second order? I mean, we have a preference. How do you count the first rank and the second? It's all count toward the same, submission. That's my first question. And the second question is about co-sponsor with other related group. So like Taiwan's, our group is like relatively smaller. So we're thinking of corresponding co-sponsor with other related group. But according to the attendance policy, it seems like we better find like a larger group or like, the group can attract more audience. So we can get like a bigger, like better average head count. So is there any way we can kind of encourage like a smaller related group work together? That's my questions.
So for the, go ahead, Chief.
No, go ahead, Megan, go ahead.
So for the second question, it really depends on just the average attendance. And we haven't really talked about other ways of encouraging co-sponsorship, but I can say that in general, co-sponsored panels overall do attract more attendance. So whether it's with another related group or with a section, co-sponsoring tends to be good for attendance. And then the first question, we only count for submissions, we only count first choice submissions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions about this?
Yes, one more, sorry. I just wanted to
go ahead.
clarify. Wanted to clarify something Megan just mentioned. She said that the attendance from 2020 would be looked at kind of compared to other related groups, but I'm just wondering if our virtual attendance in 2020 was much higher than our physical attendance in 2019, whether that would be considered in allocating panels for next year.
I think the answer is that I'm certainly open to thinking about that issue, and Megan and I haven't had a chance to talk in detail about the allocation formula for next year using the, with the virtual data in front of us, so to speak. But we'll be able to get very precise data on the virtual annual meeting, and so we certainly would be open to talking about that issue. Sure.
Okay, thank you. I mean, we're just curious because we did, like, the Labor Politics Group co-sponsored 8 panels this meeting and has spent a lot of time doing that. And I just wanted to, it would be interesting for us to see how our attendance compares to last meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Other questions? Okay. All right, I just have, these are the available session proposal types. And so these are available on the submission site where you would be submitting your submissions, and you have different options. So, so we've greatly increased the diversity of options that people have in terms of proposals over the last 4 or 5 years. And so these are what's available. And the participation rules, just to keep in mind that participation is limited to 2 roles, and that means that there's only essentially one presentation role. So you can be a co-author on 2 papers, but you can only give 1 presentation. And there, there are some exemptions for discussants and chairs from the participation rule. But this is the basic participation rule. And this hasn't changed in the last few years either. So we've been operating under this rule for the last few years. Questions? Okay, that's it. I will stop the share. Any other questions? The floor is open for any other questions.
This is Marcel. I just have a clarification. I know you're reconsidering when to do the census, if we reconsider doing it at the end of September, but since the conference goes September through technically October 3rd, are you going to take both into account if you reconsider that for this next year?
That's a good question. I'm still not used to thinking about an APSA meeting in October. So, so I think the first time ever, perhaps, of an APSA meeting will be in October. So I certainly would be open to doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is there going to be a fee for these groups? My understanding will be $1 perhaps, and when is that going to start?
Casey, do you want to address the fee question?
Sure, and Megan, jump in if I phrase this incorrectly. So part of the policy does state that in a couple of years, a fee will be, the implementation of a fee will be reevaluated by council. It would be a $1 to $2 administrative fee. It would not be dues that are then allocated in an account for the related group's use. It would be more of an administrative fee for the work that APSA is providing. But that all has to be reconsidered by council.
Right, so it is not definite that we would put in place that plan. It would be subject to council decision a couple years from now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
We've set up our new bylaws that we're voting on right now so that people can be members of the group, even if they're not members of APSA. But we haven't, told our members that to be officially recognized, they have to do it through the related groups function. I was just wondering if there are any special considerations that we need to keep in mind with that kind of structure.
So a number of groups do have outside membership. Some groups do have outside membership fees that they collect on their own. In regards to the APSA membership component, I would say really, you could have two pools of members. It's really just how you view them and want to manage the groups, but I wouldn't say that there should necessarily be anything specific in your bylaws as long as you consider them all to be members of the group. In APSA's eyes, though, they do have to be an APSA member and have clicked the box on the form to be counted.
Regarding the funding, will we have access to an APSA financial type of account where we can store some of our funds?
So since there's no direct dues tied to the groups, we haven't discussed that necessarily. Steve, I don't know if you want to jump in. It looks like you might have had something to add.
Well, we have had some discussions over the last year or two about related group award funds. So to the extent that related groups have an award and they wanted to have that funds for the award at an APSA bank account, we have had some discussions with related groups about that possibility. And so I would say that if any of you have an award fund, for example, that you would want to have at APSA as a dedicated account, we can talk to you about the feasibility of doing that. We haven't actually done that. We do it for many of the sections, have their own award funds that are in an APSA bank account. But we haven't so far done that with a related group, although we have had some discussions with related groups about that possibility. Does that answer your question, Helma?
Yeah, we've had some issues with continuity because of the challenges of moving accounts around. So it's a real challenge.
I can understand. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any other questions? Ashley or Casey, do you want to have any final thoughts for the group?
Just if you haven't sent over your call yet, you can continue to do that. Our goal is to open the submission system in the next week or so, so you have a little time if you'd like to email that over.
One final question, sorry.
No, go ahead.
When do you expect the decisions about panel allocations for next year to be made?
The panel allocation decisions are made approximately a week after the submission system closes. So all the related groups will get an email from Megan and me about a week after the submission system closes with a detailed breakdown of each related group and their panel allocation.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think in closing, I would just say that the council and certainly me and the rest of the APSA staff see the related groups as a critical component of APSA and recognize that many of our members identify closely with a related group, and we're here to support the growth and development of related groups. And so we see this as critical, and the new rules are designed in part to have APSA help provide support to the related groups, but also in the long run have closer integration between the related groups and APSA, but recognizing that you're also continue to be in charge of your own affairs, so to speak. So again, the new rules should be interpreted as a sign of the value that APSA attaches to the related groups and their importance to the organization. So thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
all
Steve.
right.
Thank you,
everybody.
All. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.